Hi, my name is Robin Brush. I'm the author of Owning Life, a complete guide to creating lasting change with NLP. I'd like to talk to you today about communication. Communication is the cornerstone of the human experience. It's how we share our thoughts and our ideas and our feelings with others. But I'm sure you're aware that communication oftentimes misses its intended mark. And when that kind of miscommunication happens, it creates stressful situations in an instant. So what I would like to do is share with you 5 tips about communication that if you use can greatly improve your communication skills. Now, before I talk to you about the tips, I'd like to share with you the 3 types of communication that we use. The first is verbal. The second is nonverbal, and the third is probably the most important type, but it's also the type that we use the least, and that's listening. So the first technique that I'd like to talk to you about is called backtracking. And what backtracking does, it does 2 things. First, it forces you to listen, and second, it lets the person who's talking to you know that you are listening. The technique is simply that you just repeat back to them what they said, but you want to do it in your own words. You don't want to repeat it back verbatim because then it comes across as being, like mocking them or something. But when you repeat it back to them in their own words, it gives them the opportunity to either add on to it or correct it if miscommunication had occurred. Now, the reason miscommunication occurs is because we all interpret things differently. We process things differently. And when we don't understand things that are being presented to us, a lot of times we'll have blank spots in our brain. And when that happens, our brain doesn't like the blank spots, so it'll fill it with what it knows. And more often than not, what it knows has nothing to do with the communication that was being originally sent to us. So it's important that we try to stay on the same page with everybody. So with that in mind, the second technique is called clarifying questions. Now, clarifying questions are just who, what, why, when, where, and how. So anytime a communication is received that is vague, it's best to use these questions to get on the same page as everybody. All right. So for example, let's say your boss comes in and says, "I need that report ASAP." Okay, well that's kind of vague. What report? And what does ASAP mean? To you, it might mean drop what you're doing and get it done now. But to them, it might mean by the end of the workday or by the end of the work week. And the only way that you're going to find that out is by asking these questions. Excuse me, what report specifically are you looking for? All right, and you said ASAP, so what specific time do you need it by? When they answer these kind of direct questions, their answers bring you together on the same page, and that's what's important. All right, so the next couple of techniques that I want to talk to you about deal more with the nonverbal aspects. And the first of those techniques is a technique called pacing, or some people call it mirroring. And what it does is a technique that helps build rapport. And what rapport is a sense of trust, a sense of familiarity that when it's in place, it opens the channels of communication and allows it to flow freely. And basically what the technique is that you assume the same physiological posturing as the person that you're talking to. So for example, let's say the person you're talking to has got his arms folded and he's kind of leaning back. Well, during the course of that conversation, you can fold your arms and lean back too. Now, you don't have to do it the exact same way. You could maybe do it like this or however you want to do it. All it has to do is be similar, because by getting that posturing, you are sending an unconscious message to them that says, hey, this guy's kind of like me. So if he's kind of like me, all the shields go down and communication travels freely. So anyhow, once again, that's called pacing or mirroring. The next one is congruency. Now, congruency not only deals with the nonverbal, but it also deals with the verbal as well. And the reason is, well, a lot of you may have heard this statistic before, but for those of you who may not have, I'm going to share it with you. It is said that human communication, only 7% of it is the actual words that we use. 38% of it is how we use those words, our tone, our tempo, our volume. But 55% is our body language. You know, in NLP, we have a presupposition that states that we are in constant communication with the world around us. And that's true because communication is redundant. You know, someone can walk by us on the street and just by looking at our facial expressions or the way our posture is, they are receiving information about us. You know, and I'm sure that you've had situations where perhaps you're walking down the street and some guy's walking in front of you and he's all, and you know, and you don't have to go up to him and say, "Are you mad?" You can see it. You can see it all over him. So that's how it works. So with congruency, it's making sure that your body language is matching the words. Because if it's not, if you're just relying on the 7%, you're missing out on 93% of the communication. But when you use congruency, you're putting it all together and using the full 100%. It's like if I won the lotto and I came to you to tell you that I won the lotto, I won $1 million. If my shoulders were dropped and my head was down and I had a frown on my face and my breathing was short and shallow, and I came into you and said, "Today's the greatest day of my life. I just won the lotto and I'm a millionaire." Wow, that's sending mixed signals. My body is saying one thing, but my words are saying another thing. By using congruency, you put it all together and it comes out something like this. "Oh my God, I just won the $1 million! Ah!" You know, it's a little bit more exciting. Everybody can see that there's an excitement level, and so the words are going to generate that kind of excitement. So that's congruency. Now, the last technique that I want to talk to you about is what I call I messaging. And basically what that is taking responsibility for your own communication. Once again, NLP has a presupposition that says the meaning of your communication is in the results it gets. Basically what that's saying is if you say something that even though you intend it one way, if the reaction of the people around you are a different way, that's the message's meaning. It doesn't matter what you intended, the meaning is in the reaction of the other people. By using I messages, it helps people not to be defensive. It's less accusatory in things. Like if let's say your friend did something terrible, you know, and you come to him and say, "Oh, dude, man, you totally screwed the pooch," you know. That's kind of like pointing the fingers at him. But if you say something, you start the sentence with I, you're taking responsibility for your own communication, and it will also diffuse it. You could say something like, "Man, I personally get totally frustrated when, you know, something like that happens." So, you know, you're letting them know that you're aware of the situation, but because you are bringing it upon yourself in a way that's non-accusatory or non-threatening, or it doesn't come across as an attack to them, you know, it doesn't shut communication down. So anyhow, those are the 5 techniques. I hope that you found them interesting, and most importantly, I hope that you will use them. So I'll be making future videos, and I would invite you to come and see them, and hopefully you'll get something from them as well. Until then, once again, I'm Robin Brush, reminding you that it's your life. Own it with confidence and live it with passion. Until next time.